Welcome to the Open House podcast where women talk real estate. I'm Kristina Moderis.
And I'm Steph Douglas. How's it going?
Good. How are you? Are you recovered
Good.
from your trip?
I'm recovered, fully recovered. I had a lot of housework to do yesterday, and so it was daunting to come home to, but it feels good to get it done.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, I spent yesterday. Well, our tenants moved in, so we had to go back to that house, take all the stuff, and
yes,
we went to Goodwill 4 times, and then we also had to redistribute stuff into this house. So it was
and it's done.
Day. Not yet. Eric's gonna go back and get some of his stuff, but they've fully moved in. So I don't know. Did I tell you all? I think I told everyone how we did this. Yeah, the swap.
It's amazing. I can't believe that. But they are fully moved in. Are they gonna sleep there tonight?
They slept there yesterday. They were like, "Is it okay if we move in a day early?" And I was like, "Sure." I mean,
oh my God.
You helped us sell all our stuff, so thank you.
That's such a nice thing. Usually move in and move out is so strict, and you get the keys, and you know, It's so nice to do this with people who are reasonable and kind.
Yes. And they wanted to move in early, so it worked out where I was like, well, we won't be in town. They were like, we'll just sell all your stuff. And I was like, okay, we'll give you a cut of whatever you sell. So
wow.
She sold most of it, which is great.
Good job. I'm so bad. I was just thinking that I have some stuff to sell too, and I'm just so bad at the follow through part of it.
I think she should start that as a job. She's so good at it. I mean, it's
incredible. You have to price it right, and you have to be responsive. And I'm not trying to see my Facebook messages all the time, but I'm so glad. I am rearranging my property management, and that's starting today. So hopefully this goes well, but it's kind of daunting. It's we don't know because it's been one way for so long.
You're hiring someone to manage all your properties, like a different property manager?
Yeah, one person instead of a company. And that is a little we had to really figure out the systems and really figure out, because if you have a company, there's 5 to 6 people on it at all times. And we have 6 units in Austin. We're going to slowly start to make some of them long-term. So I was like, I don't need a whole company. I could have one person do it and not have to spend that much time. And then I'll obviously help as well. So I'm going to save a lot of money, which is really great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking of that, I don't know, did we talk about what happened when we went to our retreat house?
Oh my God.
Did we?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember, but man, it was so bad.
So Steph and I and one other friend renovated this retreat house. If you all want to hear the full story, I think we need a blog on it, or do we have a episode on it?
We definitely have an episode on it.
Okay, we'll share that in the show.
Yeah, we'll share that.
But yeah, so we renovated this 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years. Put in a pool.
Everyone says, have a friend with a boat, have a friend with a pool. And
yes.
We didn't listen. But it's anyway, so we hired a company to manage it. And then we got this property because we do a lot of team retreats, all about community. We love, having a space where we can go and do our yearly planning or just hang out. And so we had planned a team pool day, and we went there, and it was kind of a disaster. We get there, and the umbrella that's by the pool, the only shade is ripped and torn and broken. And we were like, whatever, so we touch the pool, and it's 103 degrees.
Literally,
the whole
y'all,
pool.
That is the maximum temperature that you'd want a hot tub to be at, and the whole entire pool. We used our entire propane tank, which when I'm talking about propane tank, it's not one underneath a grill. It's
no.
It's so many gallons. It's huge. It's 10 feet long. Ooh. And we ruined our whole day. That's the biggest part.
Yeah, me and Steph were scrambling. I was and then the grass was long. We were gonna play games, lawn games, and I was like, Eric, bring our lawnmower. And it was just him mowing the lawn, us huddling under the house to like not be so hot.
It
And
was
like
so hot.
it was the hottest day yet of Austin, and we
Yeah.
had no shade, no water. And
It
the
was so
pool day
bad.
was I mean, in my mind, kind of a disaster, but it
Yes, it
also
was a
like
fail.
our team was nice about it. But yeah, so me and Steph like spent the night and like made this plan of everything we need to do to get this property back under control, because you know we walked through the house and there was some repairs that needed to be done. So it kind of got away from us, and we so we're gonna, if you follow us on TikTok, we're gonna be posting all about this journey of getting this house back into tip-top shape,
Yes.
and create more of a luxury experience to attract guests who also like treat our home with respect. Because if you go
Yeah.
somewhere, if you're staying in an Airbnb and you see that like it's just a complete chaos, like you're going to just treat it like that too. You're going to not treat it with respect. So
Absolutely. It makes sense. I mean, it's really the lesson is it's nothing's truly passive in real estate, and that is okay. Like I choose these problems, like whatever job you decide to be in or to do, you're going to have some problems, and we've chosen these problems, and I'm still so grateful, but it's like a wake up call where it's like what this, and even with my own, it's the retreat house and then my own, it's like it's okay for me to do some work on these every so often, and maybe it's daily, but this is what I choose.
yeah, I think the only way real estate's passive is if you're like a silent partner in something
Yeah.
and you've just been like, here's the cash, don't talk to me. But
Yeah.
otherwise, like you shouldn't, do not choose real estate thinking it will like be a passive thing,
Yes.
because yeah, and anything that I have had that's passive, it's like I sold it eventually because
Yeah.
it stressed me out. I was like, something's gonna break and I'm not gonna want to
Yeah.
deal with it. So don't choose that if you want a very, just, I mean, I don't know what you can make this much money and it be truly passive, but
That's the thing. That's the trade-off. If you're making a lot of money, usually it's not passive. And if you want something more passive, you're just going to make less return or lower return. And that's totally fine. That's like a stock market or even like a REIT, like a real estate investment trust. You can invest in that. That's totally passive. And that is, diversifying into real estate. So there's ways, but that's not what our podcast is about.
no. Yeah, and we're choosing this for many reasons, right? Like not only have we've built our careers off of this system of like buying an older home, fixing it up, living in it or renting it out. But also it's like helped us gain so much confidence and like skill sets that we use throughout our life. And like it's kind of I love like stretching this part of my brain, like using this part of my brain where it's like project management, creativity, like all this kind of and like customer service. Like you have to
Totally.
use all these different parts of your brain. Keeps
I
us young.
absolutely. Yeah, seriously. And like ideally it's not passive in a way that it's like you have these systems in place and so you're just managing them, you're making sure that everything happens. And it's not as much as when we first started, we were literally on our hands and knees installing flooring. So it's like the degree of passivity, like we in our career have figured out how to work a little bit smarter and like less hustle hard, but more like we still need to manage these systems.
For sure. And like we definitely have like we're going to go to the retreat house and just stay there for a few days to do some of these fixes and stuff. But you don't have to do that. We're choosing to do this because we think it's fun, and also like we're going to film some videos on it. Like it'll be fun for us, but like you don't have to, like we definitely have enough in our account where we could hire people to do a lot of this. So it's you just have to go to your property and assess it more than like once a year, which
Yeah, we just weren't
we
doing.
were, yeah, we
But the
weren't
good thing is
organized.
too, no, the amazing part about this is that even with all these troubles, we still have a good amount in our reserve account and it's cost us nothing since we first started renting this place out. So like the worst case scenario obviously would be like we were bleeding money every month, but we aren't. So if we can just like get it in check, then it'll be even better for our reserves.
For sure. Yeah. I And I like this property it will be a great investment. It is a great investment, but it's also something, a place we really want to go and like feel like we can relax and not have to like go there and be like, oh, we have to do all these things. So we're trying to get these systems in place now. So when next time we go there, it's a truly hands-off experience. We can just enjoy it. And we want guests to do that too. And if they've been experienced the same thing we just did, like, I don't even know how we have the reviews we have because
I know.
it's not good.
I'm
So we make
so
mistakes
yeah.
too in real estate.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And like, and getting to this next level of, for me, it is that it's going to one of our houses and just like enjoying it and not being like, oh, well, all of this stuff is broken. Like this is another level up.
Yeah, I even in our house, and I'm sure you experienced this with the ranch house too. Like my sister and I bought a house in Florida, and like there was a certain we it took us a while to be able to just go there and not have to like do work.
Yeah.
And I feel like even now, like I'll still go there and like want to fix some things up, but it is such a nice experience to just like go there and just have fun. And yeah, it's like, it's a crazy feeling. Like I did
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, it is. You feel such pride. And so it's definitely worth it still, but it's good to keep it real.
Yes. It's not all like roses and what's it? Sunshine and roses.
Yeah, no. Which kind of brings us into our topic for today.
Yes. So I wanted to talk about this because, so as you know, maybe you don't. So we are a real estate company. We are a real estate brokerage in Austin. We also have like community meetups every month. And this is for people who follow us on Instagram, who work with us. It's a good opportunity to talk to us about your real estate issues or have any questions or just like hang out with people who are like-minded, have, property and stuff. And we just had a community meetup last week, and we met at, where did we go? Why do I forget the name of this
Cosmic
place?
Coffee.
Yeah, it was
It
so
was
fun.
magical.
It really was. And one of our clients was there who I think is working with Jen, and um she was talking to me about her situation because she wanted to buy in 2019 and then she got scared and waited, and now she's trying to buy again. And she's scared, of course. Like always, there's just fear. Like there's just fear around buying property. And she asked me, what is the biggest mistake first time home buyers make? And this we get this question a lot, right? Because I think, and I was like, I don't know if you're gonna like my answer because I truly, to me, I think someone wants to hear a very definitive, like, oh, they didn't check the roof. That's what they got to just check that roof, like they
Then
just
you're
want to
good.
hear something like that.
Yeah.
But it's more complicated than that.
Yeah. I absolutely. I think for me, we worked with first time home buyers personally. We don't anymore, but we work with our team who works with them every single day. And we meet with them for, hours on Tuesdays every week. And so we hear what's happening and we hear how people are feeling. And we really try to tap into like, how are people really feeling? Like, are they feeling worried? What's the climate? And so we do stay in tune. But what's yours? Like, what was your answer to this question?
So, and Jen was sitting there too, and she was shaking her head, yes. So you might agree with this also, Steph, but my response is that typically they overanalyze things and they get analysis paralysis, which is exactly what happened to this client because she had wanted to buy in 2019. And as everyone, I think she was unsure of her job, or she was unsure of the market. And, nothing has changed since then for her. She's unsure about, so I think she just overanalyzed things, did so much research, and that's typically what we'll see. And it's when you do, like, we do provide a lot of information. We provide a course, we provide, a quiz to see if you're ready or not. There's jump on a call with us. Like, we'll answer all your questions. but still some people that doesn't help. Like they just keep going and going down the rabbit hole. Like if you Google things, there's going to be so much that you can find, and
Oh,
it's never going to stop.
absolutely. I think that on the same vein, because I have some other answers too, but I think people really I mean, people are always saying it's not a good time to buy. There's always a contingent of people being like, it's such a bad time to buy. And it's easy to believe that. It's easy to just go along with the trend or like the status quo and not do your own research. And it's easier to just continue doing what you're doing instead of getting the real information, reaching out to an agent, booking a call with open house. Like these things are putting yourself outside your comfort zone. So it's easier to just be like, well, it's not a good time to buy, so I'm not going to buy. And people really kick themselves. I mean, I bought my first house in 2013 and people were like, oh my God, it's so lucky. It's so lucky. And it wasn't really lucky. I mean, it was definitely lucky, but it was just like I decided to take action. I wasn't sure. I didn't know. But now it's like the best thing I've ever done.
Right, right. And the thing is, like, when you overanalyze, you're left unsure. So that's when you know that you've overanalyzed. A lot of people will be like, okay, let me assess my situation. Okay, A, B, and C is happening. It's not a good time for me. I'm very clear on that. And like maybe they're like, I'm going to do this same thing in 6 months to a year, and then I'll assess it again, see if it's right time, make a decision. If you don't, you just need to make a decision. So when you get analysis paralysis, it's that, oh, I'm going to wait. I don't know. It's like that very annoying feeling where you're like, is this the right decision? Like, so you just don't know it, and you're not making a decision. You're letting life make the decision for you. Like time is passing and you've chosen not to make any decision. So like life's just passing you by.
Right, right,
um
absolutely. I think that the biggest, if we really distilled it down, and we've talked to so many first time buyers over our years, I think the biggest fear is surrounding obviously money, but like this house will put me into financial ruin.
yes.
Right? Like, is that like if I buy this
Yeah.
house, all these things are going to go wrong, and I'm going to have no money, and I'm going to be, that like your brain just like continues. And we've sold a lot of people a lot of houses over the years, and like people might like need to replace an AC, but like that's the biggest thing. I don't know. It's just like those things in your mind are so much bigger than they really are in real life.
Right. And I feel like we try to combat that so like in our homeschool course, and if you guys don't know what this is, it's on YouTube. It's a free course for first time home buyers. There's also an investor track that you can take with it. But there is, in the very beginning, before we're like jumping into the process, there's a mindset inventory, and it's literally just, we make you think about your history with money and real estate to help you combat those like internal dilemmas, I guess, around money and all that. So like one of the questions we ask is, what is your family history with real estate? Did you see your family really struggling with foreclosures or like fighting over the costs or whatever? Because that's going to carry over to you. And if you don't deal with that, that's going to cause you analysis paralysis because you're going to get stuck
Absolutely.
there.
Yes, yes, yes. And then we also have, I mean, I think that might be part of the financial inventory. But basically figuring out like what it is every month that you can afford comfortably. And like our agents are trained to keep you within your bounds. Like they are there. We have all of these resources to make sure that you're not making yourself house poor, because that is not the goal. And we teach how to supplement your mortgage, all of these things to help you not get into financial ruin because that is obviously not that's the source of all this fear.
Right. And we like, the only thing is we will never push you into something. So when you come to work with us, like we we do offer all these resources. So you really do need to kind of work on your mindset before you want to jump into this process. And I mean, do our financial inventory, do our mindset inventory, talk to a therapist. I just, these are like big hurdles that you need to overcome before you can take on anything big in your life. And not only just buying a house, but anything big, like a switching jobs, like choosing a partner, like any of that. It's going to cause you so much issues if you don't clear your mind.
Yeah, y'all didn't think we were going to get into therapy here, but yeah, but it is such a big part of it. I really agree. Mindset. And that is part of what open house stands for. Really, it's like changing your mindset to look at this process as an investment rather than a liability, or rather than something that's just going to continue to bleed you money. Because for us, real estate has been a source of income. Well, I'm just going to go into our mission or but it really income, creativity, and community. Like that, those things have really, really come into our life since we started buying real estate. So there's obviously other mistakes that first-time buyers have made, which we can go into as well.
Yeah. What do you think besides that one? That's a big one.
The big one. I definitely think one of the mistakes I've seen is like nixing a house because you don't like the tile, or you don't like the flooring or the paint. That is just so overcomable. And having that vision, maybe that means like spending some time on Pinterest, or, getting some visual, what is it called? Visual inspiration, so that you can have the vision. But then also, if you're paying closer attention to the tile in the kitchen or the flooring, it's possible to kind of ignore some of the bigger things. And that's homeschool. We go into that. Our agents are very well versed, but like the AC systems, the roof, all of those things, it's just important to look at the bigger picture, because those things aren't fun, but they're really important. And then the cosmetic things, they cost a lot less to replace.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, we'll hear clients say like, "Oh, I want to buy a fixer-upper," and like, and then they go look at fixer-uppers and they're like, "Well, I just don't like that tile." And to me, that goes back to the fear. I feel like they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is becoming too real. I don't know." Especially when our agents are like, "Well, you said you wanted this, and this is what we're seeing," and they're like, yeah, but those windows, don't like them. And you're like, okay, it sounds like you're a little scared. Let's look at the bigger, like the AC or the plumbing, because those are the things that should be, you got to look at your budget to see if you can afford that. But like tile, you should maybe expect to change that. But I don't know. You should maybe. That's true. And that you can change that. I guess you should maybe expect to fix a roof or some plumbing issues if you're buying a fixer-upper too. But yeah, you got to know if it's coming from fear, or if you're like, where is that coming from?
Yes, or if it's just like you genuinely have run all the numbers and all that. I think another one, like kind of on the flip side, or maybe somewhat related, is people really want to buy like their dream home. They're like, this is going to be my home, and so it has to be perfect, exactly what I need. And they're not really willing to budge on certain things. And so if they're not willing to budge on location or size, you can't necessarily have it all when you're trying to stick to your budget. So that will say, it will make people say, well, I'm just going to wait.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Well, I feel like that is one of the sources of people waiting, is like not so much out of fear, but like it has to be perfect. And then 5 years later they'd go and it's like, I'm still in a similar job position, but the houses have doubled in prices.
Wait, I want to read this stat for you because we were just writing some emails and Holly pulled some stats on how long people stay in their house for. And let me see. Okay, so it says most people in the US live in their homes for less than 15 years, and about 47% of homeowners stay for 6 to 10 years, and 35% live in their homes for 5 to 10%. And I told her to add most of our clients only live in their home for 3 to 5 years before deciding to rent it out and buy a new one. So like you do not need to buy a house with the idea that like you need to stay there for 30 years, because you might only be there like for 5 years and
Yeah.
then you can move on. So me and Steph have been building up our portfolios to get us to that dream house, because why do you need a dream house at 25 to 35? Do you,
Right.
what else do you like? What is, I don't know. So why not like build up your investment portfolio and have a little nest egg, and then be able to afford a dream house where it's like nothing off your back, right? Like
Yes.
it's affordable to own a dream home.
Right. Right. It's not, you're not going to jump from not owning a home to a $6,000 mortgage. Like it makes sense to build that rental income that will then supplement your eventual dream home mortgage, which is what we've done. And I really, when I was at the meetup, there was like a mix of clients that have already bought, clients that are about to buy, clients that, own 2 homes and want to buy another. And the mindset of our clients after they've been with us for a little while is so incredible, because they were like, well, I want to buy this house, but like I know that it's going to be a rental eventually, so I want to make sure that it's like going to rent well, and like it doesn't have to be perfect for me. I was like, exactly, great mindset.
Yes, I love that. And even like I'm trying to think back to what I was doing when I first bought my house, and I think I was just so excited to buy a house that, and it made so much sense to me because I was living with roommates at the time. I was like, if I'm living with 4 people, like, why I should definitely buy a house. Like, of course, it's like a no brainer to me. And it was like, if you already living with like 2 to 3 roommates, you 100% should look into this. If you're already like living with a bunch of people, why not look into this? Because you will pay probably the same amount you're paying now in rent or less for your monthly payment, because other people will be supplementing it. You're also building equity when you go to sell that. Look how much money you have, and you don't have to sell it in like 3 to 5 years. If you're trying to like buy another house, you can rent it out. So it's, I mean, again, this is not for everyone, but I think it's for a lot of people who are just scared of, making the wrong choice.
Yes, yes. And the fear, we keep on coming back to fear, but it's like if we could just shift people's mindsets, fear of renting for me is like my landlord has ultimate control. I have they could literally tell me to move out next month. And like there's nothing I could do about it. So it's funny, like I just think that the fear is a little bit misplaced. But I do think that having control of your living situation is the ultimate freedom in my mind, and you can manipulate what am I saying, the privacy. Like if you want your own suite, you can shut that off from the rest of the house. Stuff like that just feels like that should
You don't
be
have to have
addressing
roommates
fear.
forever.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So
True. Actually, if you buy a house, you could get yourself out of a roommate situation sooner than if you didn't, I think.
I totally agree. Rent is wild. The other thing that I think people do is when they're buying a house, they're looking at the 2 like key numbers, and that's it, and not the whole picture. And so they're looking at the price of the house and they're looking at the interest rate, when there's so many little things having to do with that. So it's like how much down are you putting? What is the actual value of the house going to be in 5 years? Like what am I going to be spending monthly versus what am I going to be spending upfront? If you split that over the next 5 years, how much are you really spending on your down payment versus, it's all of those things, all those little tiny pieces that our agents help and your lender will help you too. But it's not looking at the whole picture.
Because like the down payment, you are going to get that back essentially when you sell. The monthly payment, looking at that monthly payment is really important. And I feel so like, let's say your monthly payment's like $3,000 for a house you buy. So yeah, like how much is that? I mean, that might scare you. Just say like 3,000 times 5 or whatever. But then calculating how much of that you could get back if you're house hacking.
Mm-hmm.
Should we? I'm assuming people know what house hacking is, but so it's like when you're supplementing your monthly payment on a house you own and live in. So your rent, your monthly payment is going to be zero or like not that much, right? So like if you can supplement a 3,000, like I'm doing that. Actually, we're going to do where our next investor meetup is going to be at my house. I bought a brand new build, and because I was living in a house for 5 years that was like had one bathroom and like, which is fine, but for 5 years I was ready. And it was older, lots of work needed to be done. So we were like, okay, just for 3 to 5 years, we need to live in something new. But it was expensive. So we're still supplementing our mortgage each month by, we created a little sneaky duplex in our house. And so we'll do a little tour of that. And so there's just different ways that you can do this. And like this person, when we're renting it out or house hacking, no one's coming through our house. It's not really intrusive to us. And we earn $2,000 a month off that. So that removes that from our mortgage each month. And it's tiny. It's a tiny room. You'll see it if you guys come to our investor meetup.
Yes, join our investor group, our women's investor group. But I agree. It's like it's really it's possible to supplement that bulk payment, because when we talk about payment, we're talking about principal and interest, which is the principal pay down, and then the interest, the taxes, the insurance, and then whether there's any mortgage insurance on top of that. But if you can cover all of that, or a portion of that even, then, someone else is paying that for you, which is amazing. So I would really look at it like that instead of looking at the whole entire thing. Obviously, you want to be able to afford it, and you have to be able to afford it really according to the lender. But when you're looking, you're buying something that, like Kristina's has a sneaky duplex. I have a little garage apartment in my backyard that, I think this month we did like $3,400. And that comes right off of the top of my mortgage. So I don't know. I guess we're talking about, we always get into this, but I do think that the fear of the numbers, it gets really real when you start looking and you're like, well, I can't spend $10,000 above my budget. But when it comes to like, we should look at the whole entire picture, not just that tiny piece.
Do you think you made any mistakes as a first time buyer? Like when you first bought your property? I was just trying to, I hate to say I did, even if, because I don't know, but what do you think?
The reason that we've been able to do this, I think, is we approach everything as a learning experience instead of a failure.
Optimistically.
Yeah, seriously. But I would say, I bought a 2-bed, 1 bath, and eventually 7 years later, I added another bathroom because people, 1 bathroom, like you said, it's a little tough these days. So that, I maybe would have wished I have bought a 3-bed, 2-bath as my first house, but it really worked out. I bought it and I had 1 roommate. She paid half my mortgage. I also luckily bought a lot size that would allow a back house, which I didn't know at the time. So like I very well could have not prioritize that. It was just kind of lucky. I bought a house that was like lightly flipped, like one of those, they call it lipstick on a pig. And that, I don't know. I don't know if those were any mistakes, but those were just like the downsides. What about you?
Right. No, that's fair. That's why so I would say that something similar to what you're saying is I bought a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and having 2 bathrooms would have been great. But I also, at the time, I was competing in a zip code that I really wanted, and I was getting bid out of all these places. I bought my house for $280. Is that right? No. That
seems high.
That's high. No,
Is it?
Wow, 260.
Oh, actually, maybe not. I don't.
No, 280. 280.
Okay.
I think I should remember this, but it's been a long time. I think 280, which does seem high for, I guess, that time. But it was like all I could get, and in such a good location. And now I'm like, oh, I wish I had 2 bathrooms. But then also, I like that house doubled in cost or in equity. And so I'm just like, it's hard for me to look back and say I shouldn't have done that. I could have kept waiting for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, but I would have been pushed out further and further away. And I really, at that point in my life, really wanted to live. I was set. I was like, I want to live somewhere I can I want to live. Like, I want to live somewhere I want to live. I don't want to live further away. I want it to be walkable.
It's a good example of the compromises we were just talking about. It's like, okay, yeah, we both probably wish we would have bought a 3-2, but we wanted to be in the location. We wanted to be under a certain price. Like there is some compromises that need to be made for it to actually happen, for like the action to be taken. So I don't regret it. I think if anything, I remember like signing papers. I had no idea what I was signing. And so really like maybe my biggest mistake was, and it didn't turn out to be anything, but like I definitely wish that I had some education, some resources, some anything, because I had nothing.
Yeah, wish I would have asked more questions during
Yes.
the closing. Yeah, like just when I was signing things. But the thing is, so your lender is usually sending you those documents online to look through before you're going to the closing table. But there, you can ask questions again, even if you sign that. You can just,
Oh yeah,
a lot of it doesn't matter, but some of it does. You could even say, what are the most important things that I should be like knowing when I'm signing this, like that I should remember? And that could be a good question to ask the title rep when you're signing your closing docs. I will say it wasn't a mistake, but something I wish I had just like known more about is when you're buying a corner lot, there's a lot more restrictions. And I bought a corner lot, which honestly I don't regret because I like that privacy. I chose, so the house next to my house was also for sale. And it was a 3-2. Was it 3-2? Yeah, it was a 3-2. And I think it was the same lot size, but it wasn't on a corner lot and it was 2 bathrooms. But for some reason, the other house spoke to me. It was also pier and beam, which in Austin we are saying like pier and beam is like easier to fix plumbing issues and all that. But I am really glad that I did not buy that house. Still to this day, I like my house more than I like that house next door. And it really has to do with my neighbors. Like I'm glad that I don't have neighbors on both sides.
yeah.
It's more
And
private.
the restrictions are just like that. There's a bigger setback on that side, right? On either side because it's a corner. But yeah, but I think
People
a lot of
love a
people
corner lot.
love.
They just
They really
weirdly do. But
Yeah. And if you love a corner lot, if you're listening, just be sure that you're clear about what that means because you just don't want any surprises after. Like the survey is important. If you're looking to house hack, if you're looking to put a back house, like you're thinking about those things beforehand. Like we weren't thinking about those things because we didn't know any of this stuff yet.
right. And I will say and I bought a lot that was just a little bit too small to add any AB unit situation, like another tiny house or whatever. And I knew that going into it. And I just knew, I was like, I know other options to make income from this house. And also I know that like in the next 10 years, those rules will change. And I mean, I feel like we're on the brink of them changing where my lot size will be big enough
I
to
agree.
have an ADU. So I just knew that before going into it.
Yeah. And then for my house, like I said, 7 years later, so I bought in 2013. In 2020, I did a big renovation and I added a back house. And so that's another thing to consider is like the phases of your houses. So even if you quote unquote make a mistake in your first purchase, just because you're not thinking about something or whatever, you can always make it what you want it to be later on. After you've built your portfolio, after you've built up some funds, you're just because you don't have the cash the first year of ownership does not mean that you never will.
Right. If you're not making mistakes, are you learning? Like,
yeah.
truly, I don't know. Are you?
Yeah. I mean, I really think that that we hit it on the head the first sentence we spoke about this mistake, but it's really mindset. It's like if you're really scared of money, and if you're just like really, it is a big financial obligation and responsibility, but it has created financial freedom for us. And so like there's a trade-off here, right? Like you could do nothing which is, some people are like, I just feel safe in that zone, in your comfort zone. Or you could create, more free money for investing, more free money for travel, all these things that are lying on the other side of this potentially. So it just makes sense to overcome.
And so much confidence, so much confidence.
Yes,
And also like the conversations you will start having with people, it's it's amazing. It
it
just
really
is.
is.
Yeah, it is. So and like everyone's different. Like I know I was talking with Eric, and he came back, I don't know, from seeing someone, and he was just like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like our life has changed so much, and like are these people's life's kind of the same, not good or bad, just like it's just a difference. Like we
Yeah.
are living such a different life than we were living 5 years ago when we first
5
met.
years ago, literally 5
Just five
years.
years. Just five
Yeah.
years. So
It's
different.
wild.
So
Uh,
much has changed.
yeah. I was a teacher
Oh my
5 years ago.
gosh, you were.
Yeah.
Aw.
And I was sick and stressed and like, it was so bad. I'm just looking back on that, like thinking I'm actually going to go to a graduation of my very first class that I taught,
Oh my
which is
gosh. I'm gonna
insane.
cry.
I know. And it just it's like kind of flooded back. And I was just on a text thread with like a bunch of other teachers and our old principal. And it's very sweet. I'm very excited. But the dread that it filled me with, just
Mm,
getting those text messages, just remembering like how stressed I was. I was like,
mm.
oh my God, I can't believe that my life is so different. And I was filled with gratitude when I felt that dread.
Yeah. I'm glad you said. I just yesterday I was like such a brat. I was like, Eric, I don't want to work. And he was like, You are you have a great work life balance. And I was like, I just feel like this today, okay? And then I woke up today and I was like, oh, I'm so excited about yeah, that's, but I just having a moment of like, and then remembering back to, yeah, when I was just 5 years ago. Oh man.
Uh,
Yeah, it's a good reminder.
yes,
Like,
working all the time. Yeah. Now we're lucky, but I do feel like a huge part of it. I know we have a company as well, so like it's not just the investment properties and property portfolio, but it's really really helped. Like just owning property, even if it's not as many as we own, one or two, it really just like it eases things and it makes everything easier. So
helped us be, I mean, probably owning a company together also, but just managing lots of properties is it's helped us become better people, I would say, and better leaders.
oh yeah,
And I don't think that's true for everyone. Like I can see like real estate, like I don't know, have people who have like real estate empires who are just like obviously not doing right to their community or their, whatever. But I think for us, we've been trying to go about it in a very ethical way. Um, and I don't know, it's been nice.
yeah.
It's been helpful.
I agree. I like our real estate journey better than a lot of others that I've followed. But I do think that there's a huge push, and maybe it's like just my bubble of the internet, but I think that there is definitely a way to do this ethically if that's one of your concerns as well. And we talked about it last week. If you missed that episode, how to be an ethical landlord, I think having that at the top of your mind while you're doing this as well, like it makes sense to grow your wealth and not at the expense of other people. And I definitely think we're doing that and other people can do it too.
Yeah, and finding other, it's such a good point. And we do have a community of people who are thinking in this way. And you can, if you join, start coming to these meetups, you will find a real estate partner as well, because that's how me and Steph have been able to do this. We did not have a lot of cash to just like buy a bunch of properties. We have partnered all along the way, and that's one thing that I'm so glad that I did to get into my first house is partnering. I partnered with friends, with my sister, with Steph, like, like we've all been partnering to get to where we are today.
Yes, 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 yes. Together you can go further, faster, and it's fun.
It is. It's so fun.
So I think we covered it, right? We got, looking at the whole picture, make sure you're not ignoring those big things and focusing on, the small things like the tile you can change. But yeah, I think urging everybody to think about this process as something that's fun and exciting rather than scary.
Yeah, I agree. And come chat with us. Always
Yes.
happy to chat with you about any of these topics or whatever you have on your mind about real estate. And we'll see you this month, right? Yeah. See you in a week.
In a week. Well, seriously, we have community meetup. We have our women investor meetup. We have our workshop. And especially if your part of your fear is stemmed from like your specific situation, like I'm a freelance worker and I have 1 year and not 2 years of, all of that stuff, come talk to us. Like it really, really, it's hard to get this information online because it's so broad. So talk to us.
I forgot that we're being filmed. I was just like casually putting on chapstick.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, this is when we get our new office, we'll have maybe a professional room, but maybe this is, I don't know. Is anyone watching out there? Maybe they're
I know, seriously. Message us, please. Okay, Charlie's going crazy.
I hear Charlie.
We do need this. She's ready. Okay. Bye. Bye. I'll talk to you soon.